You're listening to the Saluki Gamescast. This is episode 130 for Thursday, December 11th, 2025. It's the Game Awards.
Woo!
Actually, by the time this episode is published, the Game Awards will probably be over because we're recording this around 11 a.m. Central and so by the time I get it and do any edits that need to be done and get it published, and by the time that gets out to the different podcast apps, the Game Awards will probably be over. So we are actually not going to talk about the Game Awards.
Congratulations to insert whatever award in post, Justin, for winning Game of the Year.
Reminds me, one of my favorite Simpsons jokes ever is they had an episode that aired after the Super Bowl one year, and there's a scene where Homer and Moe are in the bar talking to each other in that episode, and Homer goes, "Wow, I can't believe the Giants won." and when they do it, they like cover their mouth. And it's like such a great gag and everything because, you know, the Simpsons were just like, we don't care.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, congratulations to, we assume, Claire Obscura.
Yeah.
Like we did in our last week's episode predictions for who we think will win because it would have made no sense to predict them and the predictions come out afterwards. There should be lots of cool news coming out of it. We're not going to talk about the rumors and everything because, again, by the time you listen to this, you already know if we were right or wrong about all those rumors. But, you know, there's supposed to be a new Tomb Raider game announced as part of this. They're supposed to maybe showcase the Prince of Persia Sands of Time remake. Yeah, the craziest rumor has been that there's going to be a reveal of Half-Life 3 during this event. Let's see. I don't know. Just like lots of different kind of crazy predictions out there for it. At one point, there was a rumor going around about a new Altered Beast game being shown at this event, which got me very excited, but I don't think that's actually happening. So, there will be lots and lots to talk about. We will not be around to talk about it after it happens. So enjoy the Game Awards. Hopefully it's a cool night. Hopefully Jeff gives people some time to actually accept the rewards. I always felt like the Game Awards, the coolest moments in the Game Awards. I still remember them having Roberta and Ken Williams up on stage for whatever their Lifetime Achievement Award was, and letting them have a few minutes to talk. And I get from a commercial perspective that's not that useful, but for somebody who's really into games, those are two of the biggest names in the history of video games, hugely impactful, not just for the games they directly made, but for founding and running Sierra Online. And I wish they did more stuff like that, bring people on stage, give them a chance to actually talk.
I don't know if they do the same way the Oscars, or they do a Lifetime Achievement Award.
They did.
Okay. I mean, I assume that's what that was for, but I don't know if that's a recurring thing, if they choose someone every year.
They did it for at least a few years there, but I'm pretty sure they didn't do it last year, last couple of years. But, even the people winning, best direction in a game, sometimes they don't give them a chance to talk. Some of those awards, they just come up on screen. They're like, okay, best action game, here's the winner. And, they just run through them really quick like a PowerPoint slide.
Right.
And that's always disappointing. So... well, Alicia's not here to say it, so Christina, do you want the honors?
Is it that time in the semester? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is.
I mean, other than my entire life is Sonic the Hedgehog, what other catchphrases does Alicia have?
Kirby's real cute. I'm currently on my Ace Attorney era. I love you, Alicia.
She would have to know all your catchphrases, right?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
she's got like a little Alicia doll. She pulls a string in the back, and it says one of those. Well, anyway, so it is that time of the semester. It's finals week here. How are the two of you doing? I should say I'm joined obviously by Christina Ivey and Mario Sanders.
It is definitely finals. Yeah, I'm ready to be done with the semester.
My week has been pretty fine.
What a jerk.
I don't know. I'm not taking any classes. I'm only teaching one class.
Yeah.
And I mean, they did do me dirty by putting my one final at 8 a.m. on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
But it's fine. It's just performances. And so there's not like a ton of like papers or anything that have to be graded.
Yeah, I have a final today right after this. And it's the class that we're basically watching Black Mirror episodes and talking about it in the honors program. And so I'm going to see a couple of commercials for some of the technology used in it. I'm going to see a proposal for a Black Mirror episode, and then a couple of analyses of like the episodes that we didn't watch. So from the 2 newest seasons.
Cool.
So not a bad, for me at least, not bad at all.
Do y'all watch the Star Trek episode?
Yeah, we watched the first one, and
Right.
then one of the students who was presenting that day, she liked it so much she went ahead and watched the second one. And so she's like, it's hard for me to talk about this without giving away stuff that's in the second one. And I was like, if people aren't going to watch it, then it's fine. I really like that episode, though.
I still haven't seen the second one.
It's real good.
I need to watch it. I really like the actress, Christine Milioti.
Yeah.
Kristen Milioti, not Christine. But I really like her. And then the guy in the first episode is, what's his name from Breaking Bad, right? Jesse Plemons.
Yes.
Yeah. So, they get good stars to come and do
For
those.
sure. Yeah. Well, and then, what's her name? Rashida Jones. Who actually I didn't realize until teaching this class is one of the writers. And she's in one of the newest season. She's in probably one of the best episodes from that. It's real good. She helped write it, and then she's in it.
Bryce Dallas Howard
Yep.
is in the
Nosedive.
episode about like rating or like social media rating people in real life.
Yep. Overall, it's really good. It was also really cool to teach this class and just like revisit a lot of those episodes. And it's also been really refreshing to talk with students about them because we hear all the things about like students being interested in AI or only focusing on AI. And some of these students were kind of anti-AI for like reasons like environmental and being worried about, creative, artists not getting credit for the things that AI is borrowing from, stuff like that.
Sure.
And so it was really cool to have a lot of these conversations with students like where they are.
I'm teaching the social media and digital communication course. Actually, our final is tomorrow. And in that class, we've been talking a lot about AI and, not from an entirely negative perspective, but certainly pointing out those negative aspects to it, right? Like what I always tell them is, look, it sounds like we're being very negative towards this technology, but like that's not the point. We're being critical of it.
And that's kind of how I frame the class of like being speculative fiction, sci-fi, whatever you want to call it, is a great place to be able to have those conversations, to be able to be critical, because it exaggerates what we have going to the point where we can, fantasize about like, is this where it will go? And there are some of those episodes that were, 10 years ago that we have seen moves in that direction, so we can talk about those sorts of things. It's been a really cool semester.
Well, I think in China they have done something similar to the Bryce Dallas Howard episode of like creating like a social rating for individuals, and so like that's not science fiction. It's not it's not fantasy anymore at this point.
Right.
There's something very similar to that,
Right.
and you also think about what I always try to talk to students about is it's very easy to say, well, you can log off at any point. But like when all social interaction is done through social media, can you log off at that point?
Right.
Right? I mean, or are there at least repercussions from doing so?
Exactly. Like the character in that episode that's the truck driver that has, I think, like a 0, maybe like a 1 rating, a 0 or 1 rating. Seems very, very happy, but obviously leads a very like secluded life with not a lot of people to interact with.
Right. Yeah. Well, that sounds interesting. Sounds like a fun class and everything. I like those sort of classes where it is kind of structured around cultural artifacts that you can kind of sort of, the entire point of the course is examining those and talking about them. The popular culture class, when I teach it, is structured very similarly to that. All right. Well, we have an awful lot to talk about, and we are sort of under a time crunch because of finals, and people need to get to different exams. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into what we've been playing. Christina, what have you been playing?
Yeah. So after the last podcast, both Justin and Mario were like, if you haven't watched Dispatch, you should. So I watched it. I still have a couple of like episodes to go towards the end, but it's real good. I like it a lot. And I didn't realize, I know we talked about, was it Thought as being Prism's voice actress, and like her song being in that. One of my songs on the like Spotify, whatever, is the song that's actually on that. But I didn't realize like Jacksepticeye was the voice of, what's his name? Colin?
Punch Up.
Yeah. No, it's real good. I can see exactly why you were like talking so positively about it. It does something a little different than what I've seen with those types of things. I don't know. I just really like it. And then Observation Duty. I'm on Observation Duty 8 came out a few days ago, and I've watched a couple playthroughs of that. It doesn't look.
Well, what is that?
Oh, I'm on Observation Duty. I think I've talked about it before in here. I've talked about some of the earlier ones, but basically it's where you are hired by an agency to watch different cameras in certain locations and pick out anomalies.
Okay.
And like intruders will come in. They have a couple of characters that everybody expects to see now in the games, like Huge Man, which is this just big bulky guy that comes in and tries to punch your camera. There's always something naked. There was one where he was like peeing in a lake that you're watching. But yeah, it's a lot of jump scares, a lot of like.
Is this a Five Nights at Freddy's like?
Not necessarily. Yeah, you're just watching the different cameras to see if anything's changed. So I can see where like people would draw that comparison, but it's not like you're trying to prevent anything from coming to attack you necessarily. You're just you're trying to pick out. Well, it goes from simplistic stuff like, oh, that vase changed colors. That's an anomaly. To this abyss is this like black hole is slowly eating this scene in this camera, so I have to report that. But yeah, just basic stuff. Honestly, I haven't seen a huge difference between it and the other versions of the game, other than like the graphics are much better. But it's a good addition to that franchise, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Is that it?
Yep.
Mario.
Yeah, so I think last week I had talked about playing the first Trauma Center. I finished that. I don't know how to feel like how to like accurately or fairly review that I think because it's also just like so old, and it's one of those games that you admire like what they're trying to do. I think what they're trying to do is really cool, but I think as I said, the DS just doesn't have the precision that the game is like requiring you or expecting you to have. Some of those, the like later levels, I think are also really frustrating because I think there are at least two instances where the rules that the game has established basically says we're going to change them, but we're not going to tell you that we've changed them, which is obviously pretty frustrating because it just lends to you playing in a very you've played in a very specific way. And so I remember going through this one level, trying to play it in this very specific way, as I have up to this point, and failing every time, only to realize, oh, the timer that you have set up as like a restriction in every other level doesn't matter for this. This is the only time that the timer that you have on the screen, where if it hits 0, you fail. Not this time. And it doesn't tell you that, or it doesn't at least make it very clear that that's the case.
Right.
I mean, like, I feel like that can work in a game if there is like some storyline reason or some gameplay reason. Do they justify that at all?
They do. And I guess that's the thing, is they allude to it, but I don't think they do it in a very clear way.
Yeah.
Where in the sense of basically you are like out in the street in this like crisis that's happening, and you have 10 minutes to do these 5 procedures. That's the way that it's set up. But then at some point, I guess the way that it makes it, like tries to like, we need to hold on until backup arrives. And at some point, I think after the 3rd one that you complete, backup ends up arriving. And at that point, you just need to finish. It doesn't matter how many, like if you actually get through all 5. But so like I was playing the whole time, like, okay, you got to get through 5 in 10 minutes. That's a crazy time crunch to put you under, especially when every other one you have basically at least 5 minutes to complete it. And so it was one of those things where I was like, well, I know I'm not going to finish. And so I would either fail because, again, just like playing sloppy and trying to play fast. And then I ended up watching somebody. I was like, how the hell do they do this? Like, is there a strategy that I'm missing or something that I'm missing? And then I see like, oh, the timer just hits 0 and it doesn't matter.
So were you rushing and like failing out and before you hit the 10 minutes?
Basically.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
it's like operation.
Yeah.
sort of.
If the, like their vitals hit 0, you like instantly fail.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And so, and it's like, there's a lot of just like, okay, you got to hit them with the, I don't know what it's actually called, but the stay alive juice to like raise their vitals back up.
Yeah, that's the medical term.
Yeah.
Stay alive juice.
But you know, and so it's stuff like, so like you're just, it doesn't matter, like even if you're not playing fast, like you are constantly using that. And so there's just stuff like that. The final chapter is basically you revisiting. So there's like 7 different types of diseases, I guess, or like variations on this one disease. And the final chapter is you going through and doing like a heightened version, like the most intense version of that one. And there's a couple that are just brutal with how hard they are. And again, like the time crunch that it puts you under. I will say, I think genuinely, which this is not a compliment, the game's like saving grace is that the final boss is very cheesable. Like you do not have to beat that. You can beat that without playing the game the way they want you to play that game. Basically, there's like this massive like bug that creates these webs, and you have to cut the webs, but every time you cut one of the webs, your scalpel breaks, and so you have to wait to get like a new one. but every time it makes a new web, it releases all of these like little bugs, and the little bugs end up repeatedly hurting you. And then the webs, if they go so long without being cut, that will also hurt you. And that will take like full 99 vital down to like 50 instantly. And so like 2 of those attacks and you're dead. And ultimately what you realize, and the way of beating it with the cheese, like you just pretend like the bugs aren't there. So like you scalpel to cut a web, and then you just stay alive juice repeatedly until you get a new scalpel, and then you do that, and then I think that's all you do. And so it's like you're just pretending like half of the boss doesn't exist. And
maybe the character is like, like they're going through with withdrawal, and so like they're like, I feel bugs under my skin. It's like you don't really have bugs under your skin.
Maybe, but it's one of those instances where it's like you shrug and like, all right, I guess I beat it, but it doesn't really feel satisfying because
Right.
like that is not how they wanted you to beat this level. But I genuinely don't know how. I can't tell you how many times I failed out and like didn't even get close.
Right.
Like failed within the first like 30 seconds because that's just like how fast it ramps up on you. Where it felt like if you miss like lasering one of the bugs, if you miss one of them, and it's pretty, because like the bugs will like swarm and they'll create a bigger bug, and it feels like kind of random as to when that will happen. And there are some times where the small bugs will come out and they'll do it instantly. You're like, well, I just lose because there was nothing that could be done. And so I think, like I said, I think that what the game is doing is very cool mechanically, like what it attempts to do. But there are certain things, and like I will play the second one still, or I guess technically the third one. But so I will play it to see if they like learned from their mistakes. So I respect it, but it would be a hard one to like recommend at least past a certain point. Maybe the first few chapters, you check it out. It's pretty cool, but like it gets to a point where like it's no longer fun.
That's what I seem to remember was the like sort of consensus reaction to those games when they were originally released, because so many people were making those sort of experimental DS games, right? Mm-hmm. The DS like encouraged you to really kind of play around with the control input and make, I guess I would say like more accessible games. And then people were picking that up because they were like, oh, it's like Operation. Like this looks like a whole lot of fun. And it was way more difficult than people anticipated it to be. Mm-hmm.
I will say, I mean, like, based on the conversation we had around, like, Helldivers last year and the chaos that like, evokes, I'm sure a real operation room is probably very chaotic. And, like, I'm yelling at this screen as I'm trying to figure it all out. Like, I'm sure when it all starts going to shit, like, that's probably somewhat accurate. But sure. I don't know if that's necessarily the experience they're going for.
Right. I mean, there is that gamification of something, right? Mm-hmm. Like, is it actually fun to do this in a realistic manner?
Sure.
And, like most stuff is not actually. Like even most Sims aren't actually really fun if they're too sim-like.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the games, and then the other game that I played was the first say if I can say this right, the first Rhythm Heaven game that was also on the DS. I mean, the first one was on the Game Boy Advance, but that was only in Japan. But the first Rhythm Heaven, which also a hard game. Like, that's one where, I think my expectation, and this is probably a wrong expectation to have, is that rhythm games tend to be pretty forgiving. Like, there isn't an expectation. I mean, depending on the types of rhythm games you're playing,
sure.
For you to be like incredibly precise in terms of like on that beat, there are certain levels in this where it's like, nah, you need to hit it right. Like, and it's fun, but it's hard. Yeah. Again, as it like moves into some of those later stages.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird with rhythm games because there are those that are very like laid back and like Parappa the Rapper, right? Like Parappa the Rapper is very much laid back. It's not if you try to emulate it now, which is what confuses a lot of people when they try to play that game, because the windows for doing your input were designed for a CRT television, which doesn't have the lag of LCD televisions. So a lot of people, it's sort of like trying to go back and play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right? Like the lag introduced creates problems. So, but like Parappa the Rapper was not a insanely hard game when it originally released. You know, it was very much meant for not casuals, but like your average player to be able to handle. But then you do get those games that are insanely difficult and that are very much meant for the like people who are just like zoned in while they're playing. There
were instances of playing this where I was like, I should send this game to my cousin. She's a music teacher. I'm like, you could like probably give this to your students as like a way to like playfully engage with like different time measures and beats and stuff like that. And I think that if I had to guess, Rhythm Heaven is probably still on the like more forgiving side than certain games. Sure. But
Thumper.
Yeah, it was fun, and you know, I know they have a new one for the Switch coming out. I would be interested to see how that one plays different, because this is another one where you're using the stylus and tapping the screen or like swiping along the screen, how it would be different to like hitting a button. So I'll be interested in that, but I don't know if that made it harder at times or easier at times, but you know, I think that there were certain instances where the touch screen is just never going to be, you know, I'm swiping and it doesn't register a full swipe, and so it's like, well, all right, I guess I lose now. And so, but yeah, like I had a lot of fun with it. I think, you know, as I've been exploring more of these old DS games, I think, like you were saying, it's exciting and fun to see the ways that like developers approached this system, like in terms of their, like the experimentation with the games that they made.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked on this podcast before. One of the reasons I love the Dreamcast is the Dreamcast feels like one of the last consoles where they were just, let's just try the craziest idea we have and make this into a game. And so there's just really weird stuff that we get from indie games now sometimes, but not from big AAA publishers as much as we did then. And I feel like maybe the DS is the last console where we really got a lot of that, where you sit down and you start playing a game and it's by Sega and it's like, this is the weirdest game I've ever seen. And, you know, like something like Trauma Center, right? Like, we might get something like that today, but it would be extremely toned down from that.
It'd be one, and like, I think that's a game where you kind of need some amount of like touch screen capability. I know I think they remade the first one for the Wii.
Yeah.
But like, that seems in some ways even more difficult, like,
right?
Trying to motion control that, like in some ways it's like maybe more realistic, but yeah, probably very difficult.
Well, even something like Rhythm Heaven, thinking that's a first party Nintendo game, right? Like, has Nintendo made anything that crazy in the last 10 years?
I mean, more Rhythm Heaven games.
But it's been a while for more Rhythm Heaven games. I guess you're right. We're getting one sometime next year.
I mean, the Rhythm Heaven games feel very akin to the WarioWare games.
Sure.
And so, like, I'd put those kind of next to each other. And the WarioWare games get weird, too. But I think the, like, mini game aspect is really what allows for some of that weirdness, because they really do only last about 5 seconds.
Yeah, I just think that system, if you want to play really weird games, it's a great system to play really weird games. And I love that for it, because we just don't get enough really weird games anymore. I mean, Christine, the game you were talking about, that feels like one of those really weird games, right? But it's an indie game.
Exactly.
We don't get that from big publishers as much. And even in the indie space, sometimes you have to search for those. I mean, we were talking about one before we went on air with horses. Probably should not play horses.
Don't do it.
But, like, I think that's fun. Like, I mean, give me the Call of Duties and stuff. That's fine. But, like, I enjoy that, like, when video games get weird. Maybe because I grew up in the very Japanese heavy era of video games in the 80s and 90s. And
it was a lot of weird.
yeah, like you go back and you look at a lot of those games now and you're like, man, this is a lot weirder than I realized at 8 years old, because at 8 years old, I had nothing to compare it to.
I mean, honestly, even through the Wii, like I remember being like, oh, these games are cheap, like the ones that are in like big barrels at like GameStop or something. Right. And some of them were awful, and some of them were just plain weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, is that it?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. I have a few things to talk about. I'll start off with Sectoria. I talked about it last week. I played a lot more of that. The more I play of that game, the more I like it. So this is the sort of Geometry Wars sort of evolution of that formula. So they introduce some roguelite elements. So as you're going along, you are collecting upgrades, and it'll pop up on the screen. You get 3 choices, and you're sort of putting those into a deck saying, oh, I want missiles as a possible upgrade, and then you might get a card with different sort of missile upgrades as part of that. That game is really, really hard, and it's sort of frustratingly hard at times. Sometimes the bosses seem completely overmatched compared to you. But it's a game, the more I play of it, the more I like, and it's a game that you can sort of jump into, play 20 minutes of for a run, and, get your sort of feel of it and hop back out. So I think it's a good game for something like the Steam Deck. I believe that's probably on Switch. I've been playing it on Steam, so it's a good game to play on those sorts of platforms.
It looks like it'd be a good game for some sort of handheld. Steam Deck or the Switch.
So I think last week I was a little bit kind of more mixed on it. That's turned more to a thumbs up over the last week playing it. Let's see. I played Ann Roger. This is a game I don't know how to talk about without spoiling it.
Yeah, I just looked it up. And yeah, within the first sentence, it spoils it.
So I'm going to be very careful in how I talk about this game. I will say I recommend it at the price point it sells for, and going in knowing that this is about a 2 to 3 hour experience. With that in mind, if you don't want to know anything else at all about the game, I would suggest don't. Go ahead and skip the next couple of minutes, because I'm just going to talk about it still very broadly, but I am going to at least give some sense of what the game is and what it's trying to do. So this is really kind of a visual novel. And as a visual novel, I will describe it as about mental health. And I think those sorts of games can be very, very challenging. Like I really like Doki Doki Literature Club, which is another visual novel about mental health. That goes in a very different direction than this game does. I think one of the things that this game tries to do, the sort of gameplay aspects of it, are trying to get you, the player, to feel like what the characters in the game might feel, right? And so they're playing around with input, with the tactile nature of games, and sort of manipulating that in very interesting ways to get you to feel not only what the character might feel in the moment, but also I think some of the frustration the characters are feeling within the game world. And so I think it's a really cool achievement. I will tell you that I cried playing this game. I think it's a game that your own experiences with people in your life will greatly affect your emotional response to the game. And it doesn't cheat to get that emotional response. When it gets that, it's actually at one of the quieter moments of the game. Like, it feels like it has worked its way and it's earned it. I don't know how effective this game will be for everyone playing it. I think there will certainly be a lot of variation. It's not a game I would recommend to like an 8-year-old to play.
Oh, no.
And not because there's anything offensive in it that would, be inappropriate necessarily. I just don't think they'll understand a lot of it. And the reason I'm being vague talking about a lot of this is because you are meant to sort of discover it as you're playing the game. Like, the game, not until the very end does it begin to explicitly spell out some things. And even at that point, it doesn't spell out a lot of what's going on. You kind of have to fill in a lot of the gaps. The other thing I'll add about this game that sort of surprised me about it is it's apparently made by a mostly Japanese staff. And there's a lot of religious undertones in the game that kind of like surprised me as I was playing it. Not because Japanese people aren't religious, but I didn't know Japanese people made the game until I got to the end and saw the credits roll. But like, I think it handles all that well in a way that's certainly not pushy or preachy or anything like that. It's just more, this is these characters' lives being reflected. So anyways, I highly recommend And Roger, but just know going into it what to expect and what you're going to be getting out of your experience with it. This is certainly one of those games for, what do they call it at the Game Awards? Games for Impact?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is And Roger, was it nominated?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, it should be. It's a cool game. If Ryan was here, I would tell Ryan they should play it.
Yeah.
It's their sort of game.
I looked it up. Like I said, don't look it up if you're wanting to be surprised, because it does tell you immediately like what's going on.
And when I say surprise, like, it's not like a twist.
Oh, no.
It's just something, it's a mystery that it sort of unfolds in the game.
Yes. It's definitely something I would play too, and I'm going to pick it up.
I think you'll enjoy it as much as you can enjoy it.
Exactly, yeah.
Right? Like, it's maybe not this is maybe the sort of indie sort of Oscar type film. Maybe you're not supposed to enjoy it, but you're supposed to appreciate the journey, the experience.
Yeah.
All right. Real quick, the last game that I played a very brief amount of after being very interested in it for a while, I played a bit of Lego Party. So Lego Party is a Mario Party game if Mario Party games were good. So the best way I can describe it really is they've taken Mario Party as a formula and they've stripped out a lot of the garbage of those games. I don't think the Mario Party games are inherently bad. I feel like over the years they've added layers and layers of garbage to those games where they're actually pretty complicated. Like, I don't think a lot of people who've been playing those games since the N64 days realize that they've slowly sort of become the equivalent of board game night when you go over somebody's house and they're like, we got a great new board game. It's called Quiznark.
Yep.
And here, it's going to take us 3 hours to explain the rules to you, but then it's going to be fantastic when we actually start playing. And I feel like that's how Mario Party has gone over the years, where one of the problems I have with those games is I would not sit down and play a Mario Party game in a lot of situations with what I would call more casual players, because I feel like they'd be overwhelmed. They wouldn't be able to compete. It would be frustrating the experience in a lot of situations. And Mario Party just says, hey, we're done with a lot of that. So at the end, you're collecting gold bricks instead of stars. And at the end of the level, there's no bonus gold bricks. So like all the sort of like cheesing the game where somebody comes from behind after the game has ended, like none of that's in this. The like rules as you move around the board are fairly straightforward. As you move in different parts of some of the boards, you'll actually get a choice of what, like you're going through a pirate themed one. What do you want to be here? And the characters will run on screen and like build that section out of Legos. So whoever gets to that section first has a chance to modify the board in a very particular way. And then the mini games are just fantastic. They're like really good mini games. Some of them are sort of variations of Mario Party classic games. There's one that's a bit of a Flappy Bird. There's one that's a bit of a Trials style game where you're on motorcycles. But they're all like pretty easy to pick up and play, pretty easy to explain. One of the things that we talked about was that this game is part of the Netflix initiative where you can play this and you download the app and you can use your phone as a controller. I think this is something that would be pretty easy for most people to at least have fun with, right? Like whether they're winning or not, it's simple enough and straightforward enough. I think everyone can like get into it. And so it may sound like I don't like the Mario Party games. I actually think the Mario Party games are pretty good. I think they've gotten overly complicated, but in that time, nobody's ever really come super close to replicating and making a good one of those. This is the best one of those that anybody outside of Nintendo has ever made, in my experience. So high recommendation for this. And I will probably be talking about it a little later in this episode in addition. All right, that does it for what we've been playing. Notice we did not play Metroid Prime 4. That's going to have to be a Christmas break game, for me at least. But let's go on and move into the news because there is a whole lot of news. We just mentioned Netflix. Wow, Netflix, keeping a low profile these days. Netflix has agreed to buy Warner Brothers for $82 billion. This obviously includes Warner Brothers Studios, HBO, but it also includes their game development studios. So this is Rocksteady, who makes the Batman Arkham games, NetherRealms, who makes the Mortal Kombat games, Avalanche, that makes Hogwarts Legacy, and TT Games, that makes the all the different Lego games over the years. So that was the big story until the end of last week when Paramount, who Warner Brothers had originally spurned their offer to accept Netflix's, Paramount decided to counter with a $108 billion hostile bid. This includes money from the sovereign Saudi investment fund and also Jared Kushner. You may remember us talking about these two crazy kids who recently purchased Electronic Arts. So they are trying to make a hostile bid in addition to apparently lobbying Republicans, including the President of the United States, to get them to strike down the Netflix deal so that they can buy Warner Brothers instead. So that's what this all has to do with games. As part of this, Netflix says that the game studios weren't a factor in either the price or the decision to buy Warner Brothers. And I think, okay, we kind of get it with the decision to buy it, but I think the fact that they'd even factor the game studios into that $82 billion bid, right. They weren't like, hey, the game studios on their own are worth $1 billion. We'll add an extra $1 billion to that price. They're kind of viewing them as, a bonus, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I imagine it. We're buying all of the IPs. right? Like that's got to be Netflix's incentive.
Yeah,
there.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I mean, but what is the IP, right? Like, I mean, from a Warner Brothers perspective, we know, but from the game studios, the only real IP out of the game studios, right, is Mortal Kombat. Because everything else is them adapting Warner Brothers properties, right? They're doing Harry Potter, they're doing the DC comics and that sort of stuff. But like from the game side, the only IP that they're really gaining is Mortal Kombat.
Well, yeah, but I assume that would mean if they wanted to venture more deeply into games, they can now do what they want with these IPs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so, Netflix has been doing a lot with games, right? We just talked about Lego Party, putting that onto Netflix where it's a streaming game. You can certainly see where this might lead to Mortal Kombat games and Hogwarts Legacy, and certainly the Lego games, like all the various Lego games coming to Netflix, where you just get to play those games if you have a subscription to Netflix. So you could see it as certainly helping Netflix's inroads into games more.
Does Warner Brothers own HBO?
Yes.
Okay. Because I know like all of the Warner Brothers stuff is on HBO, but I didn't know which one, like what direction that went.
Yeah. They own HBO. They own the HBO Max streaming service, and then HBO, the cable channel. That does include that is included in this deal, HBO. None of the other cable channels are included with that. So your CNN, TNT, that are also owned by Warner Brothers, those would be spun off into their own entity.
I see.
So we will not get a CNN video game. You will not get your Wolf Blitzer video game.
Dang.
I mean, is Wolf Blitzer even on CNN anymore? I feel like he went to like Fox or something
Probably.
at some point. Yeah, I think one of the things that kind of interested me about this is the $80 billion price tag. It made me think about the sale of Activision to Microsoft, which was something in the 60 billion range, I feel like. And, like, I guess, like, more broadly, I was kind of thinking about this makes me think about that deal more, and maybe think about that deal more critically, because we're going to talk about Call of Duty a little later in the news. But what has Microsoft actually gotten out of buying Activision? They got Call of Duty, but they haven't done a whole lot else with all those properties.
What was that deal worth?
North of 60 billion. It might have been 70 at the high end. And Microsoft hasn't done a lot with all of that, right? Like, we've got those remakes of the Tony Hawk games, right? But like beyond that, a lot of that old property, I guess we got Crash Bandicoot 4.
That was before, wasn't it?
Yeah, it might have been in development. It might have come out. I forget exactly when that deal cleared, because it took over a year for that deal to clear. But they haven't really done a lot with that IP, right? And those old games, is anybody, for example, subscribing to Xbox Game Pass to play old Spyro the Knight, or Spyro the Dragon, sorry, to play old Spyro games or old Crash games at this point? Especially since they raised the price of that subscription to $30 a month. And so I guess I was thinking about that in relation to this, because I was talking to a friend about it. Like, what is the value of Warner Brothers' back catalog? Are there a lot of kids who are going to be hopping on to Netflix going, finally, I can watch Casablanca? Like, that's the movie I've been dying to watch. And like, they're not going to do anything. Like, one of the funny things is somebody had released a press release and they mentioned all the valuable Warner Brothers IP, and they listed Casablanca as a Warner Brothers IP. And you're like, that's a movie. It's not like we have the Casablanca cinematic universe.
Right.
I mean, yet. I mean, well, I think, you know, just in the sense of a big part of it, I imagine, is Netflix just gets to absorb one of the other streaming competitors.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure.
You know, I don't know how, I think, you know, HBO Max is probably one of the bigger ones, I would assume, just with obviously all of the HBO original content.
I watch it a lot because it also includes things like Food Network.
Sure. But just thinking about, you know, all of the HBO original content, obviously.
Sure.
But I imagine, you know, they've got the Lord of the Rings movies on there. They've got the Harry Potter movies on there. I'd be willing to bet those are probably among the most watched movies on HBO Max, like at any given time.
Especially this time of year.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Those are somehow Christmas films to a lot
The
of
Harry
people.
Potter ones are.
Harry Potter
yeah,
one,
at least. I know that was always on the whatever 25 Days of Christmas type of stuff, but
Fox Family
yeah.
channel.
And I mean, you know, so I'm thinking about it just in the sense of like Netflix's incentive is we get to eat one of our competitors, and we get to now host all their content that people already want to watch.
Yeah.
But do you think all that old content, right? Because I think you're right. There are like the Harry Potter films. There's Friends, right?
Yeah.
Things that Warner Brothers owns. But that's like such a small sliver, right? Like that's one or two film franchises and one or two old television shows. Is that worth it? And I guess I'm more thinking of it in the time, you know, the framing of video games, right? Like when we look at the Activision deal, has that been worthwhile for Microsoft? I mean, it took a third-party competitor off the market, but like they weren't in a position where they really needed to take competitors. It's not like they took Nintendo or Sony off the market.
I think it's hard to tell at this point, still so early on, right? You know, and that one, I feel like it would be even less. I mean, like I know how big Call of Duty is. Maybe I underestimate how big Call of Duty is because I don't play it.
It's been like the best-selling game for the past 15 years.
Exactly. And so that's where I think it's hard to tell right now if it's worth it, but in 5 years, 10 years, maybe we're like, if it's still that, which it's hard to imagine it not being.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second.
Sure. Yeah. But I mean, I could see Netflix being like, yeah, just getting the Harry Potter movies is worth maybe not $82 billion. Like we get all of this other stuff, but like just being able to have that stuff on there. And I mean, I don't know if that also means that Max is going away, but like we now get to put The Sopranos and The Wire and all these other things on here. I kind of feel like it probably would be. I mean, especially if Paramount is now saying, hey, we're going to pay another $26 billion on top of that. Yeah.
Yeah. It just got me thinking about like old content.
For sure.
And like what is the actual value of old content? You know, like one of the things I know I was talking to a friend about with this was, okay, well, are they going to make another Beetlejuice film? Like, what is the IP that they're actually getting out of this? DC Comics, I sort of get, right? But beyond that, like, what is the IP that they're getting that people are really gonzo about? You know, and so, like, that made me think about Activision and, like, what has Microsoft got out of this that's actually, like, when that deal was announced, I was like, maybe Microsoft will do something with the Pitfall games. And they have done nothing with the Pitfall games, and I don't think they intend to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think in this one, it's Harry Potter would be at the top, like that universe, because they've got that new show coming out as well, right? And like a lot of people are gonna watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
definitely interesting to think about for sure in context to this other major acquisition.
Yeah, and we don't know what this will mean for those game studios. Warner Brothers, the rumor had been that they had been trying to sell off those studios at one point, and one of the hindrances to selling it off was that anybody who bought it wanted the Mortal Kombat IP as part of that deal. And, of course, Warner Brothers wants to keep that because they're making movies of that. So you sort of look at this and go, well, if they spin off those, do they spin NetherRealm off without Mortal Kombat? And then what is the value of NetherRealm without Mortal Kombat? Right? Because their other big series has been the DC Comics fighting games, the Injustice, right? So, like they lose all of that. Rocksteady loses Batman as part of the deal as well if they get spun off. So that would be interesting to see if there would be any takers of that. I can't imagine Paramount will keep them around because they don't do anything with games. Yeah. And Warner Bros. Has been the only Hollywood studio that's really been successful with internal studios that they own. Like, Disney got out of that business, and like now they license out to third parties. They've been the only big Hollywood company making their own video games. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens to those because, like I would say at least those, all those games we just mentioned, like Hogwarts Legacy, Mortal Kombat, Batman Arkham, and the Telltale Lego games, those are all good games. Not Telltale. What is it? Traveler's Tales, TT. Those have all been good series of games. So that'll be interesting to follow. We will probably not have an answer to this for another year. Yeah. So
at least, yeah.
Let's see. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, Kariharuki Tagawa has died at 75. He is best known for playing Shang Tsung in the 90s Mortal Kombat films. Of course, in recent years, he's come back in a DLC character based on him. Variation of Shang Tsung has been put in the modern games. He came back and recorded some dialogue and everything for those. That is probably the role, at least here in the U.S., he is best known for. Having played that, he sort of, I feel like, defined that character better than anyone else. Some of his other credits include Rising Sun, Pearl Harbor, License to Kill, Planet of the Apes, and The Last Emperor. But he's been in, tons of different movies and television shows over the years. I don't feel like any other actor has defined one of those Mortal Kombat characters in the way that he did. As much as I'm a fan of Christopher Lambert, his Raiden is not nearly as iconic as Tagawa's Shang Tsung is. I still remember going to see that film in the theater. And, as I've often said, that may still be the best video game movie that's ever been made. Yeah. And it's not a great movie. No. But it's very well done. And when he says, "Your soul is mine," it's like such a great line delivery. Like he gets, I think the thing with him as an actor is he understood that it needed to be played seriously, but to lean into the cheesiness of it. And like that balance, he just walked so well. And, he ends up being the most memorable part of that film, I think, to most people. So our condolences to his friends and family. And, it's a big loss to the world. The UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer says the government will look into Rockstar in relation to them laying off 31 employees amid union-busting allegations. We talked about this, I believe, a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. So now the government is actually taking a hands-on approach looking into this. 200 employees at Rockstar have signed a letter asking the higher-ups to reinstate immediately the employees who were dismissed. So if Rockstar thought this was going away anytime soon, it appears not to be. I wonder if for Rockstar, I feel like the last thing they want is for this to drag out to next fall when they're launching Grand Theft Auto 6. Mm-hmm. So I wonder if this becomes enough pressure to get them to, settle in some way on a deal with these employees, with the government, and try to get this out of the headlines, because you do not want this as a major headline by the time that game comes out. You don't want people calling for a boycott of that game. Not that it would necessarily be effective. We saw the boycott of Hogwarts Legacy was certainly not effective, but I still don't think Warner Brothers was happy that that was the narrative going into the release of that game.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I think you're definitely right in terms of this is, at this point in time, maybe the most anticipated video game of all time.
Yeah.
I don't think, at least it's certainly up there. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say.
No.
I mean, it's no Duke Nukem Forever, but.
So yeah, I think they want the cleanest slate as possible, I imagine.
And certainly not something like this. I feel like Rockstar would be okay with some scandal.
Sure.
But something like this just makes people...
workers' rights and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, because you're going to come out and then, they have done this in the past. They're going to come out and want to be able to say, hey, we had the biggest entertainment launch in history. We made $2 billion on day one of this game launching. And to brag about that while there are stories going around about how
And
you're
laying
union
off.
busting,
Yep.
doesn't go over well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. I don't feel like this was announced previously, but maybe I just don't remember it. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 has announced Stranger Things DLC. They've recreated the town of Hawkins, Indiana, where the series takes place. You pilot a helicopter. There are 5 different missions and 40 locations from the series. They show the mall as one of the locations, the radio station, all of that. This is fun. This is neat DLC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a cool way to make Flight Simulator relevant to the type of people that aren't really into flight simulators.
Right.
So anyways, I thought that was pretty cool for them to do. Okay, we mentioned Call of Duty. Call of Duty put out a statement this week in which they pledged not to release back-to-back Modern Warfare or Black Ops games again. This is after this year they released Black Ops 7 after releasing Black Ops 6 last year. In Europe, they saw a 60% decline in launch sales compared to last year, which sort of fits with the news we've been hearing, a lot of the discussion around this game, which is that people aren't buying this game at the levels that they have traditionally bought Call of Duty games. Now, granted, as we said earlier, Call of Duty is generally the best-selling game every year. It's selling 20 million plus copies each year or each iteration. So, even if it's down 50%, that's still 10 plus million copies. So it's not something, don't cry for Call of Duty quite yet. But, this kind of going back to that acquisition, the crown jewel of that acquisition, right, was definitely Call of Duty. And if it's seen a drop off in its popularity that significant, you do have to start to reevaluate that acquisition and go, was that worth it?
Yeah. I think the only other one that I imagine, and it feels like it's not even close, would be, unless they're able to get something like a World of Warcraft back to where it was at one point.
Sure.
That would potentially make an acquisition like that worth it. But yeah, certainly going into it, it's Call of Duty.
I wonder if MMOs could ever get back to that point, or if live service games have so cut into that. You know, like you mentioned Helldivers. If Helldivers is so much eating away at that, Fortnite is eating away at that, Dead by Daylight is eating away at that like there will never be a time where there's that many people playing any MMO.
I think that is definitely the case. I think it would have to be an existing IP that people already like really love.
Yeah.
Like I think I mean, I don't know if you would consider something like Grand Theft Auto Online to be an MMO or a live service, or if we're just like splitting hairs at that point. But like that one I know still has, I mean, and at one point had a ton of traction. Obviously Final Fantasy 14, but I don't know what those numbers look like compared to like the peaks of, you know, World of Warcraft or anything.
I think Final Fantasy 14 is significantly down from World of Warcraft's peak, right? But I do think that's a good point about something like Grand Theft Auto Online, right? Like, are we splitting hairs at some point? Would I call that an MMO? No, but it is certainly borrowing heavily from MMOs, right? So, like, at what point does that distinction matter? Have MMOs evolved to the point where there are these other things now?
Maybe one day they'll finally make that Katamari MMO, and then it will return to its glory days. That's the one that could do it.
I mean, we know the MMO that could potentially do it is Pokemon.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
Like if Nintendo really leaned into that and made a Pokemon MMO, like that feels like the only thing that could.
I was trying to think. I was like, well, like Zelda, but like I don't know. That'd be hard because you'd be playing your own like player character. But you know, like, Pokemon is absolutely the correct answer.
Which means Nintendo will never do that. The like most obvious thing that the Pokemon fans have been clamoring for now for decades, like will never happen.
You wanted Pokemon Minecraft, right? That's what you've been wanting. That's what you've been looking for. Well, here it is.
I feel like Nintendo is, you know, the joke of all the fans are just chanting like Pokemon MMO, and yeah, they go, Minecraft? Is that what you were saying?
They're saying boo earn.
Yeah, it's I mean, that's one way you love Nintendo, right? They're insane. They're insane.
They zig when everyone else wants them to zag.
No, they just go jump off a cliff when everybody wants them to zag. Let's see. The Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake called Resynced has been listed on the PEGI website. PEGI is the European game rating authority in the way that we have the ESRB. So you've probably at some point watched a game trailer, and at the beginning of it, they went PEGI 18. So in the way that we rate games, they rate games in Europe. So this has been long rumored. This has been like an open secret that they're doing a remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Resynced is
a terrible name. I mean, I don't know all the deep Assassin's Creed lore, but I don't care. It's a bad name.
I mean, it's no remastered, which I feel like is still the best one. That was a Red Faction, which takes place on Mars. So it was remastered. And I still feel like that's the cringiest. And so it makes it the best because it's just like, it's the most dad joke, which I feel like almost all of these
They leaned into it, right?
Yeah.
Resynced just feels like we don't want to call this remaster. We don't want to call it remake.
Yeah.
So this is like maybe somewhat tethered to Assassin's Creed stuff. So Resynced it is.
Plus, it takes it off the table for the conclusion of the Final Fantasy VII remake.
That's what it really is. What is the one Alicia that keeps saying? Redemption. They should have called it Redemption. Just like eat it.
Screw
Square.
you. Screw you, Square. You will get no redemption. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. This is cool. I have a friend that loves Black Flag, like, does not really care for the other Assassin's Creed games, but just really loves the fact that it's a pirate game. I feel like
It feels like I'm sorry to cut you off,
No,
but
no,
it
go
feels like this is the one that whenever people talk about it, it feels like this is the game I hear about most. This one or the Greece one, Odyssey.
Yeah, I feel like of the traditional style, this is the last one that was sort of universally loved.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, there's that sort of new, more open world RPG style of the Odyssey and
Odyssey Origins and Valhalla, I think, are
Yeah.
the ones that really lean into that.
yeah, and those are a very sort of different style of game.
It's hard to even compare them.
Right. Yeah. But this was a neat game. Like, and they did that pirate game. What was that called that took them forever to release?
Sea of Thieves?
No. This was Ubisoft.
Is that not Ubisoft?
No, that's Rare.
Oh.
That's owned by Microsoft.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I can't think of the name of it right now. But anyways,
Yeah.
that game was sort of dead on arrival, and I feel like
Skull and Bones.
Skull and
Yeah.
Bones. Yes, thank you. That was the game that everybody wanted Skull and Bones to be Black Flag 2.0, like an evolution of Black Flag. And I feel like that blew up in their face and was a disaster. And now going back and remaking Black Flag feels like the obvious answer. Well, this is what you all really want. You want Black Flag, more of it. And so we're going to remake it. And then maybe if this sells well, we do a more direct sequel to this. But, like, I don't know, it makes a whole lot of sense. Little kids like playing pirates. And so it makes sense that you make a game where you can play as a pirate. It would be a lot of fun for a lot of people. Let's see. Capcom has stated that they plan to grow their Mega Man, Devil May Cry, and Ace Attorney franchises into, quote, core IPs in a similar way to Street Fighter and Resident Evil. I could very much see potentially Mega Man and Devil May Cry being core IPs. It's an interesting thing to think of Ace Attorney, because, like, I can't imagine Ace Attorney will ever be as big a seller as any of those other games.
So I was just going to say, I was like, Alicia, if you're listening, maybe mute for the next, 13 seconds. But yeah,
I just don't know how you grow something into a core IP. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, maybe Mega Man.
I think it's just like a regular enough release schedule. Like, at some point, I think Devil May Cry could easily be that. They just don't release those games that often.
I mean, I think what they're saying is at this point, when they release a new Monster Hunter or a new Street Fighter or a new Resident Evil, they know they're going to sell X million copies of that game. That they have, the quality of those games has been consistent long enough that there's a fan base waiting for the next game. And there is that for Mega Man. There is that for Devil May Cry. But both of those, and Mega Man even more so, have been sort of neglected in recent years.
Yeah, because Devil May Cry 5 came out in maybe like 2018. I think it was pre-COVID.
Okay, I didn't even realize it was that long ago. But yeah,
if I had to guess,
probably right.
That or is like very close to it. But I'm pretty sure. Sorry, I'm going to do a quick Google really quick.
No, I think that sounds right. It has been a while.
2019.
Yeah. So 6 years. I mean, that's a console cycle.
Yeah, and that's where I think of just like, I mean, I don't know when they did the remaster collection of 1 through 3.
Right. And they did the reboot of DMC.
Yeah. And so it's one of those things that, like, it feels like of these 3, Devil May Cry would be the closest to being like something that could hit that mainstream level of popularity.
Yeah.
I think Mega Man could get there, but that feels like a franchise you have to like really build back up from where it was at one point. And Ace Attorney, I think it's just too niche. I don't know if I could ever see a visual novel reaching like mainstream. Like, unless they completely change the way you play those games.
But I wonder, like, when they, and I think this is what Christina was getting at, when they use that term core IP, right? Like, what does that mean to them?
Sure.
Because when you look at something like Ace Attorney, does that mean, hey, we're going to release these on a more regular basis, like a new game every 2 to 3 years, let's say, and we want to sell 2 million copies. We're not expecting Resident Evil style numbers, but we want a consistent seller that we know we're going to, flip a profit off of. And, I think that's the question that, like, I have with this, because that certainly Ace Attorney doesn't fit that. I don't think Mega Man fits that right now without maybe remaking that franchise in some significant way where you turn that into more of a 3D action series.
I don't know if a 2D side scroller is doing that.
No.
But yeah, something more akin to like the Mega Man Legends game that, like, is more revamped, maybe.
Yeah. But I think Devil May Cry is the one that's the most obvious of these three, where you can imagine Devil May Cry getting to the point where that's a 8 to 10 million seller.
Yeah.
Every few years for them.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
No, go for it.
Well, that's what I was talking about. Is like you can consistently put out games, but like part of like building a core IP is also relying on that popularity or of people. So yeah, Devil May Cry is probably the only one on this list that I really see doing that.
And I think a big part of that is the gameplay style. I think is the one that people are already just most familiar with in terms of that, like, third person over the shoulder, like primarily
Character
hack and
action
slash, style of game.
And not many people are doing that style of game today.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I mean, we're still thinking 10, 15 years ago when that style of game was popular, but, the world's mostly moved on outside of, like, God of War.
Sure.
I mean...
And your Souls games, of course.
Right, but those are so different.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, those have no real attachment to, I feel like, that era of character action game of the God of Wars, the Devil May Cries. Yeah, I mean, I think the big question is that core IP. What do they mean by that? Do they mean these are games we're going to be putting out every few years consistently? Do they mean we expect these to sell 20 million copies like a new Monster Hunter does? I think if that's what they mean, it's crazy talk. Yeah. Like, I can't imagine either of these or, any of these three franchises ever being at that level. But they have re-released all those Ace Attorney games. They seem to be selling well for them to continue re-releasing them.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, it shows like there is a fan base for those games, which I don't think anybody should have ever questioned. But like, if they were to release a new one, people will buy it.
Yeah. And maybe they put a little bit more money into it. Maybe that gets a glow up in a way to, sort of bring in more of that anime fan base.
Because I think at this point they've remade or re-released all of them.
I think that's right.
All the original trilogy, the second trilogy, the Great Ace Attorney games, and the investigation games.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any others outside of the Professor Layton crossover game.
Right. Which I don't know.
Professor Layton is in purgatory right now. That game the newest of that franchise got announced years ago and haven't heard anything about it since.
Yeah, that's a weird game to be stuck in development limbo.
Yeah.
You feel like that game could have been turned around fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Anyways, like, I am happy to see Mega Man on that list.
Yeah.
And Ace Attorney. Like, I'm happy to see both of those. Devil May Cry, I didn't feel like they had completely given up on, but those other two, you did start to feel like, well, maybe those are just nostalgia plays at this point. Like, they don't view them as important, and this seems to be, an assurance that, yes, we still view these as important.
Sure.
So probably we will get at least one more game in those franchises. So, Alicia, yes, if you are listening, there is a new Ace Attorney game almost certainly in development, even if it's in pre-production. Let's see. Take-Two has hired some of the developers from the Perfect Dark game that was in development at the Initiative, specifically the bosses, Daryl Gallagher and Brian Horton to form a new studio at Take-Two. This is really kind of interesting because Take-Two had tried to acquire Perfect Dark from Microsoft when Microsoft shut the game down. They actually went into negotiations with Microsoft. They were going to buy that game from Microsoft and continue development and put the game out. And apparently those negotiations broke down over who would own the Perfect Dark IP long term, which, again, like Microsoft, if you're not doing anything with it, like what are you doing? Like, you're not going to be making a Perfect Dark film anytime soon. Hollywood's not calling for a Joanna Dark film, I don't think. So it's kind of interesting just to think about this, because it seems to be them saying, hey, well, we couldn't get that game. Can we get the people who at least were in charge behind that game? And maybe we attempt our own version of that under a new IP, right? We will call it, Imperfect Light or something. Man, that would be a great name. Plus, I'd love to see the lawsuit from Microsoft. So, Perfect Dark seems dead for the foreseeable future, but we might get something of that nature, at least. Let's see. Postal is back from the dead, but it's also dead again. So the Postal franchise has been a series of games over the years that have, very much been sort of edgelord sort of games of, oh my God, we're going to have you do a mass shooting in this game. Oh my God, we're going to get Gary Coleman to do a voice in this game. They've always been games trying to sort of push the boundaries. And so you see games that kind of have followed in the legacy of that. I would say a game like we were talking before we went on the air of the game Hatred that came out and then immediately got banned from every distribution service as a game that was trying to kind of follow in that. I would say the Postal games were more trying to be funny than Hatred was just trying to be, I don't know, an asshole of a game, I guess. To some degree, I think the Postal games probably have always viewed themselves as South Park-like we're doing satire, but it was really stupid satire. And so that first Postal game's pretty good, but after that, they have really never been that great of games. But last week they did announce a new Postal game, one called Postal Bullet Paradise. That game has now been canceled. The studio shut down and closed after generative AI allegations against the game. And this is the wildest story. This may be our story of the year because this is just insane how this unfolded.
Shit show of the year.
Yeah. I don't think we used that term specifically. It's our chaos news of the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is also an appropriate description. So anyways, they announced this game. This is being published by Running with Scissors, who developed the original game. This game specifically was being developed by a studio called Goon Swarm Games, which I've never heard of. They may, I guess, be an entirely new studio open for this game. They did not last long. But anyways, they put out a trailer for this game. Almost immediately after the trailer comes out, people go, this all looks like generative AI, right? And if you're not used to looking at generative AI, it has a very distinct look to it. And so people very quickly kind of, if you've seen the new Coca-Cola and McDonald's ads that they put out this year that are completely generative AI, which then McDonald's pulled theirs after there was so much backlash against it. But anyways, they put out this trailer. People immediately start criticizing it. And in response to that criticism of people calling the game generative AI, the co-owner of Running with Scissors hopped on Discord and called some of the people on there criticizing the game, quote, ignorant assholes. Which, hey, people who are actually on our Discord excited about our game, which is not everyone by any stretch of the imagination. You're all a bunch of ignorant assholes. Then that was followed up by the community manager also telling Discord, a specific user on Discord, that they are a R word. So think of a term often used against mentally disabled individuals for believing the allegations. So this is all like people were just criticizing the game, saying this looks like generative AI. The response from everyone involved is basically, fuck you. Like, don't buy our game, I guess. So then that is followed up by Goonswarm Games, the actual developer, releasing what they called work in progress art of the game. So they said, hey, we have these layered files. If you're not familiar with working in Photoshop, Photoshop saves work that you're creating in layers so that you can work on separate layers of an image at a time. They released some of that art to say, hey, no, here's us making this game, making the art for this game. I will point out that Coca-Cola AI ad, they also released a behind-the-scenes video showing how they made that commercial. The behind-the-scenes video is also made with AI. So there are shots that don't match up with the one that's in the actual commercial. And they're like, here's us making this shot. And it's like, but that's not the shot in the commercial. What are you talking about, Coca-Cola? So now they tried this same stunt. And, of course, people immediately were like, wait, there are telltale signs in some of these images that this is being made with AI. So then Running with Scissors, again, the publisher, not the developer, they backtracked and claimed that their trust had been broken in this situation, referring to Goonswarm Games. Goonswarm Games then announced that they were canceling the game and shutting down the studio. In that announcement, they still denied that any generative AI had been used. The next day, they then put out an additional statement, now apologizing that they did in fact use AI and blaming external artists to the studio for that AI use. What is going on? Like, I feel like consumers are being very clear, and particularly in the game industry, consumers are being very clear. We do not want AI slop. Mm-hmm. We talked about it with Fortnite. We've talked about it with some other instances of fans just saying, hey, we do not want this. And I understand maybe you've already gone down that road. It's very hard at this point to backtrack. But I feel like the only appropriate response to this would be, hey, either we use it or this game doesn't get made, mm-hmm. or we're sorry, we hear you, we're going to fix this. Mm-hmm. But calling your fans ignorant assholes is not the correct response.
Take note, PR students.
Right.
I feel like I would talk about this to my PR students and go, I don't know how to, I don't think I should have to tell you this, but do not call your customers ignorant assholes. By the way, that is a great title for this week's episode.
Ignorant assholes?
Well, no, do not call customers. I feel like if we call it ignorant assholes, that just sounds like
us? We are the ignorant assholes?
Yeah, which
maybe fair.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, fair at times.
I think I'm trying to think of, what context it might be appropriate to call your customers ignorant assholes. And I think the only thing I could think of is if you're a WWE heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. If you're CM Punk, you can call your fans ignorant assholes.
And they're like, yeah.
Yes, we are. We're going to buy $40 T-shirts that say ignorant asshole on it. Yeah, I mean, I guess the only other situation is, when sometimes products have been co-opted by a movement. So like there's been like Nazi groups have co-opted a product or a brand. And so, there have certainly been, I remember Papa John's had a situation like that where like neo-Nazis were like, yeah, Papa John's is our product. And Papa John's was like, please stop buying our pizza. We do not want neo-Nazis.
We don't need your business.
I mean, we're okay if you don't talk about it, but like, don't buy our pizza otherwise. So yeah, there are those exceptions, but they're rare, right? Certainly neo-Nazi CM Punk fans do not buy our product.
Those are two separate things.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, there's probably
There's
some
maybe
overlap
some crossover,
But
but
not
I think
intentionally.
CM Punk would disavow those people
Yes,
as well.
yes.
Some other wrestlers, maybe not so much. They're just a crazy story. Like, and I mean, just to have a game announced and within days have the game canceled and the studio shut down. Like, this seems like a new record. This seems like they looked at Concord and were like, how can we top that? With an even more insane, timeline of events.
They announce it and then start a clock.
I'm waiting.
Speed running, yes. Taking speed running to a different level.
I mean, the only way you top this, right, is to like cancel it before you announce it. Like, be like, hey, we're announcing that we've already canceled this game because we're a bunch of assholes.
We were going to put out this game, but we decided, nah.
We're the ignorant assholes. Don't worry. It's crazy. Let's see. Have either of you heard of the Next Playground console?
Nope.
So the Next Playground is a $250 Android console that is sort of Kinect style. It's a little square cube, and it has a camera on the front of it. And you can play things like what's the fruit slashing game?
Fruit Ninja?
Fruit Ninja, yeah. There's like a version of Fruit Ninja. There's like a basketball shooting game. So very Kinect style, motion games and everything. Anyways, this system has been out for a couple of years, and over Black Friday, it actually outsold the Xbox.
No.
Which, in fairness to Xbox, there were no discounts on that system. They have raised the price this year and everything. We've talked about all the problems with Xbox. But I think the thing that's even more surprising is the week before Black Friday, it outsold the PlayStation 5. So, I think Black Friday, it had about 14% of sales for that week. The rest of those going mostly to PlayStation 5 and Switch 2. It's kind of weird. I mean, here's this console that nobody's really talking about, and it's outselling the big boys.
I don't know, because I think I told y'all that when I was on the MetaQuest, or when I'm still on it, I
At
hear
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
Excuse me.
McDonald's.
Where did you go somewhere new this time?
I just honestly sometimes
Baga King.
No. I've mainly been playing Tetris on it because I'm so nervous now that I'm going to do something that's going to make me nauseous again. So I just stick with Tetris. But there are so many little kid voices. And so I'm wondering if, like, it sounds like the games that are on this are, not for super gamers per se, but are for like people want to put this in their living room to give them something to do Christmas Day with their kids. And at $250, that's not a big deal. And same thing with MetaQuest. MetaQuest is roughly the same price. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, I think there's almost like a market now for these like, it's not for gamers per se, but more so for families, even more so than the Switch, because the Switch is now $500.
Right.
So
I mean, that's something we've talked about, right?
Yeah.
Is are the main console's pricing people out.
Yep.
Because even to buy an old PlayStation 4 now, like there's several $100s.
Yep.
I mean, it's not like you can walk into Walmart and buy a PlayStation 4 for $150.
Yep.
Right? If you are the family that can't afford the new console and you're a generation behind, the PlayStation 4 is almost as pricey now to buy as a full PlayStation 5.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Just Dance is doing its own thing, but, the Kinect was a Dance Central, I think, and so, those types of games are so popular with a ton of people, but I think especially with kids. And so, at $250, it makes sense. Like, we're still getting something that our kids are going to enjoy, that they're going to have a ton of fun with, that we get to play with them.
Yep.
So,
I mean, the fact that they call it a
and
playground.
call it half as expensive.
Yep. They call it a playground. All the pictures that I'm seeing online with like advertisements and stuff are like parents and their kids. So it feels like, that you're right, that these big consoles have priced themselves out.
And we should note that this often drops below that $250 price, so it often drops down sub $200.
Oh, there's a Barbie dance party.
Oh, well.
Well.
There you go. I'm rushing out to get one right away.
Honestly, same.
But no, like Christina, I think you raise a really great point with that price, with the sort of games that it's marketing and everything. That was part of the value of the Wii, right? Was the Wii was something the entire family could enjoy. Grandma could enjoy the Wii. Yep. Grandma could do Wii tennis and Wii bowling, right? And so I think something like this, it's not just the price, it's the family togetherness, it's the accessibility. And I feel like this is the sort of console that, little kid asks for a PlayStation 5 and it's $600. Grandma and grandpa see this thing for $200, and they're watching videos of family and kids playing it, and they go, we'll buy them this.
There's a Bluey game called Bust a Move, and they're playing pickleball. This is for like families.
Well, this is the Amico. Right? This is the promise of the Amico. The promise of the Amico was, what if we made a system that was really targeted at families and that everybody could sit down and play together? And we know that system imploded in a spectacular way.
Right.
But like, this is, hey, we got this out here, and this is that promise to a large degree. I mean, Nintendo still makes family-friendly games, but like, if you are talking about a Switch 2, you're talking, even if you buy the $450 to get a game with that, you're going to be, north of $500.
Right.
That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money to spend at Christmas on one kid. Like if you have 2 or 3 kids, maybe you can make it a family gift. But like this is a lot more palatable to most families, I think.
And they've got a lot of Sesame Street stuff. It looks like they have an NHL game, Barbie, like Peppa Pig and Bluey, Kung Fu Panda. So it's not like
they know their target demo, right?
Yeah.
They're making games for little kids.
Yeah. Where you're not going to, maybe not enjoy, but like the games on the PlayStation 5 probably aren't going to connect with you at this point anyways.
Right.
No, I mean, they have a Bluey game. They have a Peppa Pig game.
Sure.
But, like those games, I can imagine a parent going into Walmart and looking, looking at the wall of games, seeing the one Peppa Pig game, and then about 50 other games that do not look appropriate for their child.
Right. Exactly.
I think it's a great point, and just thinking about like how that age range matters. Or we talk about, I think we talked about this a ton with like Super Mario Wonder, right? Like how Wonder incorporated those characters. Like now I don't remember any of their names, but the characters was like, you can't die. So for your little kids, they still get to play and they still get to have fun.
The rabbit character.
Yeah, without getting frustrated. And it seems like this is like, well, what if, maybe not every game on this console is this, but like it sounds like a lot of games are the point is just to have fun. You're not even trying to win or do anything, but like just get to have a fun, silly time with your little kids.
Yeah. It's kind of like when we talked about the Peach game last year, like one of our, like I think that was a game that was Nintendo trying to make a game for like younger kids.
Definitely.
And the problem, right, with having it there is like you also had folks our age who expected a certain thing out of that game and didn't get it, and so maybe it didn't sell as well because I mean we're not their market necessarily, but this is.
Yeah, and I think it's I think all of us would agree like this is a good thing for like games and absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember on the Kinect there was a Sesame Street game, and that game was like really cool. But that game required an investment of $300 for an Xbox 360 with Kinect, right? To play that one game, right? And there were some other Kinect games, Kinect Adventures was obviously really accessible, and there were some other games in there, but most of the titles on the Xbox 360 maybe weren't for the average 5-year-old, right? Where these games sound, I think you're right, Mario, where it doesn't really matter the game because you get to be silly. So like you get to be on screen dancing next to Bluey. You get to be in a Barbie dance off, right? It sounds like they're going for the right IP and everything to target that demographic.
For sure.
And if mom and dad can enjoy it as well, then all the better.
Yep.
Which I feel like Fruit Ninja, that's they have Fruit Ninja in arcades. Like people are going to arcades and playing Fruit Ninja on a vertically oriented like 9x16 screen, which is like crazy to me. But lots of people love Fruit Ninja on their phone.
Yeah.
I could see a game like what was the game where you're combining fruit?
Oh, Suika game.
Yeah, like that game I could see doing really well on this, right? Because that doesn't require a lot of precision.
Yeah.
It's more about just seeing the things build up. It makes me interested. I'd like to play one.
Sure.
I'm not going to go pay $200 for one, but I'd love to play one. I don't know if anybody I know owns one. I'm going to do a Facebook post. Can I come over your house at Christmas?
Can I play your Bluey game, please?
Hey, look, I've already played one Bluey game.
I'm not hating on Bluey. I actually keep being told that I should watch it, so I'm not going to hate on it.
Okay. Like you should, if you watch one Bluey episode, watch the moving episode, the one where they're moving. Oh my God. Like that episode, like it lulls you into a weird sense that you're like, well, this is a cute kid's cartoon. This is fine. And then like there's all these subtle things they keep dropping in the background.
Sucker punches you in the gut.
Well, but like even like they drop these little hints about the parents and like their background. So like at one point they go off to this like secluded area and the mom is like, I remember coming up here, and the kid goes, why would you come here, Mom? And she's like, oh, well, anyway. And they're like dropping stuff like that throughout it. And then, yes, the sucker punch, the way that the end of that episode is just filmed and the music, like just like amazing. Like just my jaw hit the floor when I watched it. I was like, man, like the people making this are, it's like the sort of thing when you go and you watch a really well done Sesame Street segment. Yeah. And you're like, oh, right. These are adults who are insanely talented at making this.
I still watch Steven Universe. I'm not going to. So, like, I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of those shows, like, have a pretty significant adult audience. Adventure Time, sort of shows. So, no, I'll give full respect to Bluey. Let's see. So, look.
Something put on here for me.
Yeah. Well, no, not entirely for you, but we do not get through an episode without talking about Dead by Daylight.
You've already mentioned it, by the way. I was going to point out, but then I was like, no. But you've already mentioned it today. So.
Don't ever mention Dead by Daylight again.
I'm just saying, I wasn't the first one to mention it
You keep
today.
Dead by Daylight out of your mouth.
It's my game. You piece.
You pee.
You all do not get to talk about
No,
Dead by Daylight.
You can. It's just that.
I think there's a you can't.
Yeah, I
feel
mean,
like
it was
that's-
implied.
Yeah.
It's like cultural appropriation.
It's my game. No.
I just thought this was really interesting from an esports perspective. I sent it to you because it was Dead by Daylight.
Yeah.
But anyways, so they were planning a Dead by Daylight Women's World Cup. So specifically for women's teams, they were going to have women's teams from all over the world representing different countries come and enter this. As part of this tournament, they banned trans players. So when one of the team captains was very clear that when the tournament was announced, that was not announced as part of the rules. So all these teams signed up, they were going to participate, and then as the full rules were released, they were like, hey, no trans players allowed as part of this. In response to that, and sort of a stagger of this happening over a few days, Team Canada, Team USA, and the captain of the United Kingdom team have all pulled out of the tournament. Mm-hmm. By the way, this may not be a comprehensive list of everyone who's pulled out. This was the article I was reading, and announced they were boycotting the tournament in response to the banning of trans players, saying that as women, they felt particularly called to stand up and defend trans players. And the organizer of the event issued an apology. And so, yeah, I mean, the apology did say, like, hey, this is being organized all over the world. This is a remote tournament. It was, like, really weirdly worded, like that. Like, none of what you're saying actually justifies this.
Yeah, I don't know. When I was reading the story, it was sort of like, I don't understand what the logic behind the ban was.
Yeah.
But there was a part of me that also, in reading the organizers, like, for whatever reason, it didn't feel hateful. It just felt like something that they did as a matter of fact. But at the same time, after reading, I was like, so just change the rules then?
Right.
But it was, it was
doesn't-
weird.
It didn't make sense for a couple of reasons. One, like, Dead by Daylight is known for being very queer inclusive, like LGBTQ inclusive. Like,
Well, it's horror, which often traditionally has been a sort of refuge for queer people.
And I mean, they so there's little charms that if you're a survivor, you can link it to your belt loop, or you can link it to the hook if you're a killer. Every Pride, they come out with new Pride charms, and they have like Pride banners. They have a thing where they have a special Twitch stream where their queer content creators, lots of times drag queens, things like that, will do things that they then raise money to donate somewhere, right? So that's one. Like, the entire culture of DBD is very queer inclusive, so it doesn't make sense to do this. But second, I would almost understand, and again, I don't think trans women should not be allowed to play any sports, but I would almost get it if they were if this was like a physical sport, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But at least that's where most of the arguments come from to be anti-trans women, right? But I don't understand. Why? What advantage do trans women have in this? I don't know.
I had the same thought reading it, because that is the argument, right? That why do you not let a trans basketball player play in women's basketball? And the general argument is, right, that men are bigger and stronger naturally. Certainly not always, as we know, right? Caitlin Clark can certainly kick my ass.
Well, and the athlete of the year, I just read this before coming in. The athlete of the year is a WNBA player.
It's Asia Wilson.
And, so like, first off, like, let's dispel with that myth, right? Like, most men who aren't professional athletes aren't competing with female professional athletes to begin with. But that's the argument, right? And you can certainly like maybe see that better at like the high school level or something where there might be some physical difference there. You can at least understand the concern.
Yes.
This, you're talking about people with a controller or a mouse and keyboard. And so, like I don't know, maybe there is some argument that the actions per minute, right? The APM is like higher on male players than female players. But like, this seems like such a weird argument to be making.
That also doesn't feel like Dead by Daylight is that kind of game to begin with.
No, this is not
this isn't Hearthstone or something where
an FPS or something.
Like and I'm not going to say this is an easy game because it really does take like a learning curve kind of thing, but
these women are playing at a level beyond most people.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly. It's there's no advantage. It's just, this was so dumb.
And I guess that's where it felt weird as well because it was, I don't know, maybe the like rhetoric that I see of like TERFs is usually like they lean into it. Like there's no apology. And so seeing like these organizers that, like I said, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt, like that this wasn't like a hateful thing, but at the end it's like, well then why
do it?
If there was a reason, like just say the reason and then either change it or don't change it.
Exactly.
But like, it was just something was missing.
I could get maybe, again, if somebody is like writing it that isn't involved in a lot of those conversations, like around like TERFs and stuff like that, of being like, oh, okay, well then this is something we can do pro woman, like not allow trans women, sure. And then like not really be like thinking through that process. But then, just change the rules when the community talks back to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's a weird story. It's a weird story, but it's also, I feel like it's indicative of the time we live in and that, what a lot of trans people are faced with on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis where they face discrimination in ways that most people, I feel like, go, well, that doesn't even make any sense.
It is heartening to see that these teams really take a stand. It was a very strong stand, at least in the article that you had sent. Right. There was no like mincing of or like sort of 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Like it was very clear, like no, we're not doing this if this is what you're doing moving forward.
And I think that's weird in some ways because or the whole story, not that their response, but the gaming community in some ways has been the most progressive when it comes to trans issues of any sort of like subculture that at least I'm exposed to.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the first people I was regularly seeing, first trans people I was regularly seeing like on content, and like what I would say is very mainstream video gaming content, but like they were inviting trans people in to participate and to be part of it and everything. Like I know Giant Bomb going back years, and Giant Bomb was often criticized for, it's a bunch of dudes. Like where are the women on Giant Bomb? But like then they were in a lot of cases inviting trans people to be in their content, and like that's not necessarily the people you would think of as being like the most progressive. People who sit around and play video games all day. Yeah. But like that community has been that, like in my classes, I talk about, when you look at people who, how the community has embraced characters like Poison in the Final Fight games, or the way people talk about Birdo.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
That's going back 40 years now. And lots of people talk about Birdo and they're like, no, Birdo is definitely trans.
Well, and lots of folks also talk about, like, we mentioned WoW and other games like that. Like, for a lot of trans women, the avatars they pick, they get to, they choose women a lot because they like it allows them to play out that idea in their head, right? Of presenting in a way that they see themselves as.
There's a statistic that most people who play MMOs have at some point played as the opposite gender of how they are either viewed publicly or how they think of themselves.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. There's a lot of gender experimentation, I guess, is maybe the best way to describe it.
Yep.
Particularly in virtual worlds.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it allows people to try different things, right? In a non-committal way.
Right.
In a safe way. Yeah, no, so I think that kind of surprises me in that this still is going on in the gaming community as an issue, but like also it is nice to continue to see players in this community saying, well, we're not going to deal with this, right? Like we're not going to put up with this. We're going to boycott your tournament if this is what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think it also then makes sense with what Christina's saying about how inclusive this game has been. You know, like
right.
that is a good point of like, I would almost be less surprised if this was a Call of Duty tournament that said this, but you know, not to disparage Call of Duty or any of those players or anything like that, but like,
but it's not built into the community already.
When
right.
a company like the game itself and the developers have made it very clear this game is for everybody. That would happen for this particular game.
Right. They even have a drag queen now in it, like the Boulet Brothers thing that came out last October. Yeah. So yeah, when I saw this, I was like, I'm just wondering if the organizers, how out of touch they were. That's what I was looking on my phone as I was trying to figure out who organized this, because I was like, it seems like it's obviously they're in the community because they're able to organize it, but also like
it was a man, and he was an esports player. But like that's all. I didn't recognize the name. I'm like, but I don't follow many esports players.
right.
Yeah, I mean, I think like maybe their response has. I think their response of responding to this and being like, oh well, you know, we didn't mean any harm by this. Makes it sound like maybe it was complete ignorance, like on their part, and that they are taking this as an opportunity to learn from it. Maybe it's too late to fix
Change
it,
all the things,
like to get people back into it. Maybe it's like we're just gonna have to scrap this whole thing. It's just not gonna work out. Like I don't know the logistics of it, but yeah, it didn't seem like. You know, this isn't some culture war attempt. It doesn't feel like.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it didn't feel like there was like intent, like malicious intent in that decision, but maybe just ignorance. And
It was a male Kick streamer.
Okay. Kick is sort of known for being more right wing than Twitch and some other places. Yeah. You know, I guess we'll see. We'll see if anything else comes out about this and everything. Obviously, like, I think everybody on this podcast is very supportive of trans rights. And so, you know, as Mario said, kudos to these women for standing up and, you know, really putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. Tekken boss Kashiro Harada has announced that he's leaving Bandai Namco this month. This is the 30th anniversary of Tekken. He has been, you know, the main voice behind that series for a good long while. Seeing him kind of step away, it does, you know, Tekken's not going away. It's not that there won't be a Tekken 9, but certainly this will be a huge loss anytime a franchise loses the main voice behind it. That's a major loss. So, you know, just kind of rounding out the news here, we wish him well in whatever he decides to do next. You know, that's Tekken. Tekken is a really cool series, so hopefully there are people there who can step up and continue to lead it going forward. But we wish him well on his retirement. that's a good news story to end on. It's not a sad one and everything. All right, that does it. But our big question for this week, since we're heading into the holidays, we wanted to give you our top 5 games to play at holiday gatherings. And so this isn't just necessarily like best co-op games, but like games specifically that maybe would work at holiday gatherings where you're getting together with people who may not be diehard gamers, right? Like there are the people you get together with and play who are your friends who are super into video games as much as you are. But this is where maybe you're playing with your niece at the same time you're playing with your grandmother, or you're playing with a group of friends from high school who maybe haven't kept up with video games as much as you have over the past few decades. So this is an opportunity to like our collective.
And Justin, having said all of that, number 1, Parasite Eve. It's a Christmas game. I don't care. You can watch me play it.
You can watch me play.
Mom, sit down. No, you are not leaving.
We're going to explore the mitochondria together.
It's educational and Holly. But yeah, so this is trying to come up with games. So it could even be something that one person mostly plays and other people kind of like chime in with and everything. I don't know if Parasite Eve is number 1.
It's a Christmas game.
Sure.
And it takes place on Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
It's like so Die Hard is a Christmas movie. Nobody gives those people shit, but you say Parasite Eve is a Christmas game.
People don't give Die Hard fans shit.
They get shit.
That's been pretty widely accepted as a Christmas movie.
I don't know, man. I've been warned. I'm going to a new family Christmas this year, and I've already been warned that this will be an argument, and I need to go ahead and pick my side now to prepare for it. It's a Christmas movie.
I went to somebody's Christmas one time where they sang Christmas carols together. So like they had a big Christmas dinner, and then afterwards everyone went into the living room and sang Christmas carols together. But they would only sing like old religious ones. You weren't allowed to sing like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And I'm sitting there, and they were like going around asking everybody to pick a song. And like right away, they pick all the ones I know. And so then I'm sitting there going, wait, no, Rudolph, no, that's not religious. Like, is it a metaphor? Is Rudolph Jesus in that story? Can I make that argument? Because like, it's not only like, do I know the song? It's do I know the words? Because they know all the words by heart. And I'm sitting there going, like
watermelon.
Like I know some of these songs when they come on the radio, but like I don't know them by heart by any stretch.
I thought you were gonna say they did Christmas carols and whatever, like the big song from Die Hard, whatever like the licensed song was part of the.
There is one in the beginning, right? There's the Christmas rap that's at the beginning, or am I thinking of another movie?
I have no
idea.
That's
a different one, but they do play a Christmas song at the beginning and the end, or the end credits.
Yeah. Anyway,
they also play Ode to Joy in that movie, but like we're not singing Ode to Joy.
They play the Run DMC Christmas song.
So yeah. Anyways,
okay, we have one written to Parasite Eve.
All right, all right. Like I'll mark it down on the list, Parasite Eve, just so we can cross it off pretty quickly.
Well, whenever I don't know if this is necessarily specifically holiday gatherings, but whenever I think about games that I'm trying to get people to, I always think of Jackbox.
Sure. Yeah.
Like which one would be holiday version? I don't know.
I will say at Thanksgiving this year, we did play the Survey Scramble.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like that one is really easy because the rules are really easy to explain to people and say, is Family Feud.
Yeah.
And like everybody understands it really quick.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the best Jackbox game, but it's like maybe the easiest one to explain to a group of people.
Yeah.
I was going to come up with another bad example. Okay.
Okay.
Final Fantasy VII, you snowboard. I'm just saying.
So the ones, Mario's shit list, Parasite Eve.
Donkey Kong Country 3, you fight that snowman. Bleak's Peak.
I mean, at that point, we can put Clay Fighter on.
I was
there you
actually
go.
just thinking about that. Yeah.
I said this is a more interesting list than Jackbox. I'm just putting it out there.
I did play the newest Jackbox. I was talking to.
Oh, that's right. There is
Justin about
a brand new one.
There's this one
11.
game called Hearsay where it like gives you a prompt, like think of little feet going across the floor, and you do the sound to it, and the little character, like the way that it moves to the sound is really funny. That one I played that over Halloween. That was really funny. They also have a Legends of Trivia, which is like a D&D style trivia game. I don't know.
I've heard. Fun. I haven't played the new one, but I've heard it's pretty good. There's a handful of good ones in there.
Yeah, I feel like you could pick any of those. Really,
sure.
I don't know that there's a really bad one. Maybe don't play the dirty one.
Yeah.
At most holiday gatherings,
yes.
there's specific types of holiday.
I do have that, and I've only played it with my group here, like Sakshi, Sandy, and so. And yeah, I would not play that with family. So.
Yeah. If you're getting together with friends, you might be able to get away with that more raunchy one. Yeah, I think Rift Tracks. The Jackbox. I think earlier I'd mentioned to you, Christina, the Rift Tracks games.
That would be fun.
Which is basically like a Jackbox game, except you're like adding they are muting a line from a film, and you have to write the funniest like replacement line for it. So we could just say the Jackbox games in general, I think works fine for that. Yeah, I said I would talk about it more later. I think Lego Party, like particularly because that's on Netflix now. So if you have Netflix, people just need to download the app to their phone, and then you can play that together. I feel like most people who are maybe 40 and under, at least, have played a Mario Party game at some point.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so they would understand it, and that's simple enough. I don't know if playing that on a phone would actually feel great, because some of the games you want a little more precise control. Yeah. But I do feel like that's a game that would be very accessible.
Well, even if they haven't played Mario Party, like it's a basic board game with like mini games between each round. And
the mini games are not usually much more complicated than something you might have played on an Atari 2600.
Right.
I mean, the graphics are better, but the gameplay's about that simplistic.
Yeah. I was also thinking of like visual novels, but I was trying to think of one that would like be good for
Doki Doki Literature Club. Play that with grandma.
Well, I'm thinking no. I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of the ones that
Grandma, you want to play Dream Daddy?
No. Honestly, though, one of my grandmas would have loved that game.
I can imagine a lot of grandmas actually getting into that game.
Right. Just like a secret grandma daddy club. A Mario Kart, not World, I don't think, because that one is a lot.
I think 8 Deluxe.
Yeah.
Right, like that's the game that pretty much anyone can pick up and play, and you may not be great at it, but like you can at least drive a car around. I mean, they have those assistance features as well built in there for little kids. You could turn those on.
Right.
But most people can navigate a car at least.
Yeah.
Christina, you and I talked about. Oh, sorry. Go on.
No, go ahead.
We talked about like the Quarry.
Yeah.
Or one of those style of games, maybe Until Dawn, or the what are they called? The Dark Pictures. Mm-hmm. Some of those have a built-in mode where like everybody can kind of either you can have each person with a controller and they control a different character in the game, or that you can like sort of vote collectively. Mm-hmm. So like one person is playing the game, and then when they get to a point where they have to make a choice, everybody gets to vote on what that is. I mean, you can kind of do that without the game mechanics. Just say, hey, what does everybody want me to choose here? You just
have to go quick. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say something like Overcooked or Played Up.
Oh,
yeah. I think
I think that's the only time I've played Overcooked has been like at a Christmas thing.
And that's a really, again, a really easy, accessible game, especially the early levels.
Yeah.
I mean, the later levels
It gets frustrating.
are pretty insane, but it is, it's the sort of game, the level of complexity in those early levels is enough that anybody can kind of do it, even if they don't play video games a lot.
Yeah.
You just say, this is your person. Watch that and walk to the places and
just keep doing
pick
the
up
same
things
thing.
with A.
Yeah, you chop the onions. That's your one job. Grandma, you sit there and chop onions.
You got it. I was thinking of like, I don't know, Wii Sports or something like that. Like,
Yeah. Maybe the Switch Sports new version that they've done. Yeah, because, I mean, those games, the Wii was super popular for a reason, right? Like, everybody could join in and play bowling or tennis and really get into it and understand it, right? Like, I think that's one of the keys to this style of game is, does everyone understand what's going on?
Exactly.
You know, it kind of goes back to the idea of going over somebody's house and they want you to play a new board game. And you're like, I just don't understand this and I feel dumb and I'm not having fun.
Exactly.
And you don't want that for a family get-together game.
Right. And people already know how to do like bowling and like a lot of the sports stuff. And it's just a matter of knowing which button. Although I have had someone be really frustrated before that I was beating them in bowling sitting down when they were standing up. And I was like, you can sit down too if you want. You don't have to be extra.
But that also makes it good, right? Because it is something physical that some people can't do. Right. So it allows them to sit. You don't have to have nearly the full body motion playing those games as the commercials hint at. Anything else? I mean, like Parasite Eve, definitely making the list. But anything else you want to?
I mean, all I'm saying, it's the only holiday game on our list.
Sure.
This says holiday gatherings. Like, unless you're only playing the Snowland and Mario Kart.
Are you being?
I'm just saying.
Are the police talking to you? Are you holding your hands?
I'm just saying.
Well, I mean,
I was trying to think of other holiday games, and I don't really know what there would be.
Play Fighter 33 and a third.
Yeah. Well, the mortuary assistant has the downloadable Christmas thing where when you're working on a body, it could be Santa or it could be an elf. Christmas.
Yes, let's dissect Santa.
Yeah.
Come on, kids.
He's already dead. We just got to embalm him. It's okay.
Oh, okay. We're not doing any sort of like examination.
He may be a demon, so we may have to put him in the furnace.
I mean, Santa is almost certainly a demon, right? He's not human.
I would think so.
Is there a Krampus game?
Oh, no, but there should be.
There's probably some indie Krampus game.
Sure.
Right? No, but like Krampus should show up in more games. Like more than Santa. I want Krampus to show up.
Yeah, there is one.
Just one?
Well, this one. It's a mobile game and a PC game. I want to say there's one that I played once where Santa was actually like the evil person, and you're trying to like you're like a little kid trying to get up in the middle of the night and check out what presents you have, but then Santa sees that you're awake and gets real mad about it.
Does Krampus come to your rescue in this story?
Oh, no, this is a different game. In this one, you play as a misbehaving teen hunted by the Christmas demon Krampus, requiring you to solve puzzles, hide, and use limited defenses to survive until morning.
Kingdom Hearts, but you only get to play the Nightmare Before Christmas level, specifically Kingdom Hearts 2, because that's where you go to Christmas Land.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there's got to be a Nightmare Before Christmas game, right?
I would assume
Probably.
Like a Game Boy Advance
Probably.
game. Yeah. I mean, There are Home Alone games. Like, if we just want Christmas games, we can do the Home Alone games.
There's a 2004 action-adventure video game for the PS2 and Xbox that's Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
It could do those Home Alone games. They're horrible, but like we could put those on the list.
Yeah.
That'll just make the entire family sad and depressed. There's probably an elf game.
Probably.
Oh, I was hoping.
You're hoping what?
No, I was hoping that you hated Elf as much. I'm not a fan of Elf. There is one. It's Game Boy Advance.
Yeah. Game Boy Advance. There's like something of every franchise on Game Boy.
The Game Boy Advance had it's the shovelware originator.
Yes.
Yeah. I was just trying to think of like popular Christmas films.
So I'm sure there's probably multiple Grinch games.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I feel like there should be a Hallmark Christmas movie game.
Like a dating simulator.
Do you play
go back home?
the lady that's going back home, or do you play the guy that runs the Christmas farm back home?
Maybe you can choose and
you
play
get to-
through it twice.
What if you get to play the evil corporate boyfriend?
That's what I'm saying. No, I think you are the lady that goes back, and you have to choose between the guy who owns the Christmas tree farm or the evil corporate boyfriend.
And then
like,
you have to
do a
decide:
choice.
do you want to open a bakery, or do you want to open
A library, a bookstore.
Or continue your fashion brand, like go back to the city and be with your corporate boyfriend and continue your fashion brand, or do you stay here with your boyfriend that owns the Christmas tree farm and open a bakery/library?
So this question is now changing to: we collectively create 5 holidays.
Well, really, just one. We're creating one game, which
I
is.
think this is the one that I think will sell.
That would definitely sell.
This Hallmark. I already know a few women who are like, shut up and take my money.
Well, so who are you casting though? Is it Lacey Chabert? She's in all those movies now.
Yeah. Yep.
So
Done.
should I think like, who can you get that all of the middle-aged moms will play the game?
Pedro Pascal.
So the one that I was thinking was Stanley Tucci.
Ah.
I don't think you're getting Pedro Pascal or Stanley Tucci.
Let's do Stanley Tucci
do-
as the evil corporate boyfriend, and
But they're not doing
Pedro
a Hallmark
Pascal.
movie.
High-tier Hallmark movie.
It's a game.
It's the Hallmark movies that like a movie studio
on
actually
Netflix.
makes.
Like Netflix, I think it's Netflix, maybe it's Amazon Prime, has one this year that is Alicia Silverstone and Melissa Joan Hart.
Oh, that's like my childhood.
It's like, yeah, 90s core.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's it. They're going for the moms, right?
Yeah.
They're getting like, here are the most famous blondes from the 90s in a movie together.
I'm of the age where if I had children, that would be.
And a friend of mine who's my age, like she watched that film because specifically she was like, I love both of these women. And her kids, I don't think, have any idea who either of those women are.
Shh, mommy's watching her while drinking wine.
I mean, it could be, we could just make a game of that film Hot Frosty. Did you see that one where the snowman comes alive and he's like a hot guy?
But he's hot. Okay.
But he's also like
No.
stupid as a snowman because he has never.
Yeah, because his
Had
brain
any
is
life?
snow.
But is he
Yeah.
turned into a real man? Is like a Pinocchio situation?
Yeah. He turns into a real man. Like I think the woman wishes that she could meet this great guy, and the snowman gets turned into a man.
And it's Lacey Chabert.
Excellent.
I mean, look, she is in 93% of those films.
Yep.
Now, talking about the 90s, go back to the 90s. Tell yourself, Lacey Chabert is going to be the hardest working actress in Hollywood, producing at least 20 films a year. It's her and Sam Jackson. They are the two hardest working actors in Hollywood.
It's probably a good gig.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Like
imagine.
low stress.
Yeah. I think they shoot those films in like a week or two.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they have very quick turnaround times on those. I guess you have to live a significant portion of the year in Vancouver so that they can film them.
There are worse. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't like snow, but Vancouver's pretty cool.
Well, they are living there when there's snow for that benefit.
I could deal with it. Maybe.
Or the occasional film where they're like, it's Christmas at Dollywood.
Yeah, so with a tropical Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, that's where Hot Frosty should be. I mean, honestly.
Well, but he had to be a snowman first.
Somebody has to be the snowman at some point.
Okay.
They had to build the snowman first.
You can maybe take him to
You're
a tropical
creating a-
location, but I don't think he would want that.
You're creating a plot hole
Yeah.
for this very
For a Hallmark movie.
this film with high plot integrity.
Lisa Chabert would never. Okay, did we come up with a list?
I mean, I think we created their Hallmark Christmas game, which is actually, I think, the title of this podcast.
Apologies to all the ignorant assholes out there.
Hey, we are going to get all those middle-aged moms like clicking on this podcast episode. Wait, kids, they're making a video game of something I like. That's not
Alicia
Animal Crossing.
Silverstone.
I was talking to my mom on the phone the other day, and she's like, "Don't worry, I'm going to save at least one Hallmark movie to watch with you." I'm like, great, love it.
When I tell people I've watched Hallmark movies, they're like, "Why do you watch Hallmark movies?" And I'm like, "I have a mom.
I have
Mother,
a
yeah.
mom.
When I'm home, like she will sit there and watch them back to back to back. And at some point, I go, "Okay, we've watched like 2 of these. Can we watch Law and Order?"
He can handle at least one.
Yeah.
Hopefully, she'll pick out a good one.
Hot Frosty.
Hot, maybe.
You should suggest it.
She like of all those actresses of the regulars, she does like Lacey Chabert. So.
Yeah. Suggest it and then report back.
She's not a Danica McKellar fan.
I have no idea. I don't know any. I don't know any of the other names.
I know Danica McKellar because she was Winnie Cooper on The Wonder Years,
Okay.
and then she disappeared for years and like wrote math books for kids.
All right.
Like to teach kids math and
What
and
a
now it's
career.
back
We love
acting.
a multi-talented
Yeah.
queen.
Yeah.
I mean, she took that the route of a Blossom.
Yeah.
Right. Like
Except I'm assuming she's not anti-vax and.
yeah. Well, I actually don't know anything really about her politics.
That's.
She's not.
Keep our fingers crossed.
I know about Candace Cameron that she's kind of
Let's not.
a little troubling.
Anyway.
All right, so let's narrow this list down. What we have here so far is Lego Party, Switch Sports, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, The Quarry. Though really, maybe that should be Until Dawn, because Until Dawn
There's snow.
is set in winter, where The Quarry is very much set during summer. I don't even know if that makes the list, but then we have Jackbox Party Pack. Insert your choice of number. Parasite Eve and Overcooked. So is there one of these that you would like to take off the list?
I'm afraid to.
You want to take off the one holiday game? It's fine.
I don't know that it's the one holiday game. Until Dawn is in winter.
The one explicitly Christmas game.
Overcooked, there's like DLC where you get like Santa hats and stuff for your characters.
Also, it says holiday, not especially Christmas, and I'm
Okay,
pretty
well,
sure it's like
Christmas
New Year's.
is explicitly a holiday.
Well, yeah, but so is New Year's, and I'm pretty sure that's when Until Dawn is.
But do they celebrate it in the game?
No.
So do they go see an opera of the Nutcracker or something like that in the game?
Okay, fair enough.
Fine. If you want to take off Parasite Eve, it's fine.
I think we definitely keep
Parasite Eve. No, go ahead.
Mario Kart 8 and either Lego Party or Jackbox. And I'm not saying one of those can't make it, but I'm like, what are things that definitely stay?
I think Jackbox makes the list.
Yeah.
I think that's the ultimate, like, holiday party game.
Combining people of different, like, gaming abilities.
Yeah, like,
I think the Quarry Until Dawn, I think that's a good idea, but I think you have to have I don't think that's a catch-all for every holiday gathering.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a game you play with grandma. That is a game you play maybe with friends from high school or college.
Yeah.
Like you're getting together with.
What
like
is this?
Until Dawn. Right? So, grandma or like your niece or nephew probably doesn't want to see somebody getting their head chopped off.
Because some people are just not in the mood for horror.
Right, at Christmas.
Yeah, which is silly, but...
But does that also exclude Parasite Eve?
Oh, you fight like a dinosaur in that game.
Kids love dinosaurs.
Exactly.
All right.
Okay, Until Dawn off the list.
And they're learning about mitochondria.
You know what? I'm just going to circle Parasite Eve. That's definitely going on the list.
We love a bold choice, right? Isn't that what we always talk about? It's much more interesting if Game of the Year goes to something. As I said, if Parasite Eve makes your holiday gathering game, it makes it an objectively more interesting list.
My vote for the last two then is Lego Party and the sports games.
Okay.
Do we keep Overcooked? Is that taking Overcooked off?
So that
then?
would be taking Overcooked off.
Okay.
So which game do you want on the list?
I mean,
Mario?
I would include Overcooked over the sports games, to be honest.
Okay.
I think.
Are we taking Mario Kart off the list?
I think it's one of those things. I think Overcooked is one of those, like, if I'm being serious, I think Overcooked is one of those, like, underrated party games. I feel like all Mario Kart or the sports games are going to be on all of them. I think Overcooked is one of those games where people who aren't familiar with games would be like, oh, what's this? And they would have a really good time with it. Whereas, like you said, basically everybody's going to know Mario Kart.
I can see that.
Okay.
So
it does have that Christmas, like, DLC.
Sure.
So I can see the benefit of that.
So, like, I would include it on a list over Mario Kart as, like, this is a fun one that people might not be familiar with but would really enjoy.
Yeah.
And then for the final one, I might suggest Lego Party just because it's on Netflix.
Yeah,
Yeah,
think that's
I
a good
had
one.
Lego Party circled. So what was our 5 again?
We're doing 5, right? We're not doing 4.
Yeah.
So we do need a 5th. So right now we have Lego Party, Jackbox Party Pack, Parasite Eve, Overcooked, and we need Switch Sports or Mario Kart 8.
I would take Mario Kart over Switch Sports. I think that game is kind of meh, but
I mean, I think Switch Sports is the people you play it with.
Yeah.
sure.
Right? Like that is a game maybe you've had a couple of glasses of eggnog
Sure.
and you play. I think
Let's watch
playing
Grandma
Shambara
stumble.
Shambara with Grandma could be a good time.
grandma fall through the television.
Or she be the one to not wear the like strap or something and it shoot out of her hand.
right through the television. Guess what we're getting for Christmas, kids? A new TV. All right, so our 5 games to play for holiday gatherings are Lego Party, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, Jackbox Party Pack, insert your choice, Parasite Eve, because it is the only Christmas game, according to Mario.
The only objectively Christmas game on the list.
Right, but there's probably other Christmas games we could pick, like The Grinch, for example.
You know, sometimes people have to stay home because flights get canceled and they have to gather with themselves.
And finally, Overcooked. So 4 fun games to play with a group of people, and then Parasite
One
Eve.
riveting experience for yourself.
Yes, if you are spending the holidays alone, right? Which, like, if you're, maybe your plans fall through, right? And you shouldn't be alone for the holidays, so you should have Parasite Eve there for you.
Yeah.
Square will always be there for you.
Yeah.
The message to take. All right, that does it for this episode. Thank you to Mario and Christina for joining me. Thank you for listening. We will, I do not think, be back for another episode before Christmas, as we are all headed out after finals and our different directions. When we get back from Christmas, it will be our Game of the Year time. So probably, most likely, our first episode's back will be that Game of the Year discussion where we do our top 10 games of the year, and we also give out our awards. So that's usually broken into 2 episodes. So that'll be sometime probably mid-January. It's usually when those episodes come out. As part of that, we will also have our Game of the Year list posted up onto our website at salukigames.com. That's not only the people on this podcast, but we get people associated with the podcast to do those different lists and everything. So that's always fun. I think those are always cool to me because they expose me to games that in a lot of cases I haven't played, or in some cases have never even heard of. People find really obscure things to talk about for those lists. So in the meantime, since this is our signing off for the holidays, we wish you a Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, an awesome Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. We hope that you have a good holiday gathering, whether it's with friends playing fun games or it's alone playing Parasite Eve. Enjoy the holiday season.
Which is a good game. Like, let's just be clear.
If you're gathering with yourself this holiday season.
Gather with the fictional New York Police Department.
There's nothing says Christmas like the New York Police Department.
And watch a Hallmark movie with Lacey Chabert.
Yeah.
I mean, you can pretty much watch any Hallmark movie and Lacey Chabert will be in it. But yeah, anyways, have a very happy holiday, and we will be back soon.